Welcome to my scientifically informed insider look at mental health topics. If you find this video to be interesting or helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question came from subscribers, and it's specifically oriented to a specific video on Shane Dawson's YouTube channel. This video is titled World of Jake Paul, Part 5, and it features Shane Dawson, Kati Morton, and Jake Paul as well as some other people. The question is, was Kati Morton's undercover role in this video appropriate? So if you've seen my channel before, you know that my channel is science and logic based. And I'm not going to offer any commentary on someone's character, and I'm not going to make any determination of right or wrong in terms of ethics, laws, or standards or anything like that. I don't know any of the people involved in this video, and really this is just a review of the evidence I have available. And I'm going to offer my analysis, concerns, and I hope a learning opportunity for those interested in clinical work and members of the public. So when I talk about evidence, what evidence am I talking about? Well, this particular video I mentioned, of course, and the assumption that Kati Morton is a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California, and also some of this information I believe probably comes from some of the earlier videos in this same series. I did a video on part 2 a little while ago. Now, a licensed marriage and family therapist is similar to a number of the master's level mental health clinicians, like counselors, social workers, and other professions. I'm just going to refer to all these professions together as mental health clinicians, but no, there are some distinctions between them. So I mentioned what we have in terms of evidence, but what don't we know? Well, potentially a lot. Events could have transpired, of course, that weren't featured in the video. There could be other conversations and agreements that I don't know about. So again, I'm just going on the evidence I have and trying to offer an objective analysis. So just to give a little background in terms of this video I'm talking about, ostensibly Kati Morton was there with Shane Dawson to evaluate but not diagnose, according to the disclaimer, an individual named Jake Paul. And this evaluation would take place through observation and asking questions and also feeding questions to Shane Dawson. The suspected condition that they were looking for or looking to evaluate was sociopathy. Now, in prior videos, I've talked about sociopathy, so I won't go over all that now, but we have this construct of psychopathy and sociopathy really relates more to antisocial personality disorder, which is a mental disorder in the DSM. Now, in addition to all this, Kati Morton was undercover. She was pretending to be a producer in this video. And according to this video, Shane Dawson had a verbal agreement, it looks like it was a verbal agreement, that indicated that Jake Paul could be evaluated by a therapist with no limits. So I have a few concerns about this video. What was Kati Morton's role in this video? Was she a therapist, mental health clinician? Was she a consultant? Was she there as Shane Dawson's friend, just coming along to ask a few questions? The video would have us believe that she was there to assess mental disorder symptoms. Another concern. Why did she need to be undercover? Was it to gain information that Jake Paul would not feel comfortable revealing to a mental health clinician? Again, this is kind of what's implied, but we really don't know for certain what the purpose of the undercover component was. So here are some of my problems with this video, kind of in light of these concerns. Regardless of what type of verbal consent was in place, there are always limits to what a therapist can do. And of course, a lot of times we think of these consents as something that needs to be written anyway, can't be verbal. Now, one example here of how there are always limits would be with romance. So if a client wants to have a romantic relationship with a clinician, no matter how much consent is given, a clinician cannot do that. Now, of course, that's not what's happening here. This is just an example of how there are always limits when it comes to a therapeutic relationship. Another problem I have here is this was for the purpose of assessment, and there's a lot of evidence to support this was the case. We saw Kati Morton hand Shane Dawson a book on sociopathy. We heard her make generalizations about sociopathy, like it was overrepresented in business people and leaders of religion. I'm not sure where she's getting this information. Sometimes narcissistic personality disorder is overrepresented in the business world. I'm not aware of any evidence that supports that leaders of religion would be more prone to have sociopathy. This could be another instance with the business piece of confusing psychopathy with sociopathy, but again, I talked about that before. Now, we also see here that she refers to Jake Paul as being nervous. She probes him about motivation and about going fast. She talks about feeling suspicious. She feeds Shane Dawson's questions, and she aligns this term adrenaline junkie with one of the symptoms we see with sociopathy, one of the characteristics. The video also aligns the term convincing with being manipulative. So we see that this really does seem to be for the purpose of assessment. So if that's the case, either there's a clinician-client relationship or there's a consultant relationship. One of those two things would have to be true. And in either case, the identity of the mental health clinician would have to be known. Now, in some lines of work, identity is hidden. For example, we see undercover police officers, we see secret shoppers, and we see researchers sometimes that will dress up or impersonate somebody who's a member of a certain population, for example, the homeless, in order to get qualitative research on that population. Therapy is not an undercover profession, and someone is always a therapist. They're not always functioning as a therapist, but they always have to follow the rules, whatever those rules would be for that particular field. I mentioned before there are many different types of mental health clinicians. So in terms of the ethics, and we'll go from the point of view here of consulting, we see that there is a California Association of Marriage and Family Therapy. I believe that these are the ethics that would be in place for an LMFT in California, but I don't know that for sure. But we could be fairly assured that any code of ethics for that group would be somewhat similar to the one I'm referencing. I'll put the link for that code of ethics in the description for this video. So in this code of ethics, we see item 3.9 indicates that you have to operate within your scope of competence. Again, this applies to a clinician-client relationship or consulting. In this video, Kati Morton indicates that sociopathy is not her specialty. So right there would be some level of concern. We also see section 1.16, non-therapeutic roles. And here we see that somebody's consulting. They need to clarify to avoid confusion with consumers and employers. So really what this is more or less saying is she would have to identify herself as a therapist. I don't see how you would clarify your role if you didn't even identify that you were a clinician. Now it's worth noting here that I'm paraphrasing these items in the code of ethics, but again I'll put the link in the description so you can look at the code for yourself. So the last item in the code that would concern me was item 3.14, professional opinions. So clinicians do not express opinions about mental or emotional conditions unless they treated or examined the individual, or unless they reveal the limits of the information upon which their opinion is formed. Also, they must maintain appropriate cautions as to the effects of this limited information upon their opinion. And if you look at this video, it doesn't seem like care is really taken to meet the spirit of this particular item in the Code of Ethics. Again, I'm not here to make any determination, just to offer my analysis and just to offer my concerns. So my worry here is that people look at this video and believe that this is what clinicians do. Clinicians go undercover in videos that I think more or less everyone knows will be viewed millions of times. And they surreptitiously try to make assessments about other people. This is not what mental health clinicians do. So was Kati Morton's role as an undercover therapist in this video appropriate? Well, again, I can't answer this for sure because I don't have all the information. But based on the evidence that's available, based on the evidence that was presented in this video, I certainly wouldn't recommend this to anybody who is a member of any of the mental health clinician fields. This certainly appears to be inappropriate and quite a bit risky, taking chances with the mental health and well-being of other people. Again, can't stress enough that this is just based on limited evidence and it's only my opinion. I hope you found this description of going undercover as a therapist and any concerns I have with that to be interesting. Thanks for watching.